Hello, and welcome to today's webinar on the Flowmon integration with WhatsUp Gold. We'll share how to leverage Flowmon within WhatsUp Gold to make better, faster decisions for your business, followed by a live Q&A session answering any questions from you, our customers. Today, we are joined by our speakers, Larry and Philip. Larry Goldman is the Senior Manager of Product Marketing for the Progress Application Experience portfolio, which includes WhatsUp Gold and Flowmon. He is an accomplished marketing leader with 20 plus years in enterprise software, SaaS services, and technical B2B marketing for global organizations. Philip Cerny is a product marketing specialist at Progress Software, where he is responsible for the Flowmon product line. With a sales background and 6+ years experience with the Flowmon solution, Philip continues to spread the word about the importance of network security and network traffic visibility for IT operations. I'll now turn it over to Larry to start the presentation. Larry?
Thanks, Rachel. I'd like to welcome everyone to our AMA Ask Me Anything webinar. I know that we have both WhatsUp Gold and Flowmon customers here with us today, and you're likely curious about how the two programs connect and complement one another. We're going to cover that and answer as many of your questions as we can in the time we have. Philip, let's start by addressing the challenges that operation teams face every day.
Excellent. Thank you, Larry. So, before we get into the product, I would like to say, what the IT operators go through every day, what is their daily bread. So basically, a complete network coverage is needed because IT operations needs to deal with root cause analysis. They need to be able to troubleshoot any issues quickly, as well as monitor for critical applications. Now, with the big adoption and moving infrastructure to the cloud, you need to monitor your cloud services as well as your on-premise infrastructure. You need to be able to analyze the network traffic and look for hidden threats as well. So we need to ensure that the network security is involved. So essentially for any IT operator, the mean time to repair is basically essential, how quickly you are able to figure out and if there is an issue, where the issue is, and quickly fix it. So basically the complete network coverage is needed to ensure the smooth network operation. And it happens to be that we have a solution stack in the Progress portfolio that is able to help you with that. So for the infrastructure monitoring, we have the solution Progress WhatsUp Gold, which is able to basically provide you the visibility of what's up, what's down, how the network infrastructure is performing. And if you require the deeper level visibility into the network traffic, that would be the Flowmon solution, where we can see who is talking to who, how long, using which protocol, and being able to drill down and troubleshoot the network related issues on a deeper level. And because we have that eyes into the network, as I like to say, we can also basically monitor for network threats hidden into the network traffic using machine learning and artificial intelligence. So that would be the network security piece. So that would be like a short introduction. Larry, why don't you tell us a little bit about the WhatsUp Gold solution?
Great, yeah. So what is WhatsUp Gold? Simply put, WhatsUp Gold monitors the performance of everything connected to the network. Administrators can monitor, measure, resolve network problems, and there's sophisticated alerting and reporting capabilities that make it simple to diagnose faults and find and fix problems fast. WhatsUp Gold has a unique interactive mapping interface, which really stands apart, I think, from most of the solutions that are out there, because it lets you intuitively see up and down availability, performance at a glance for everything from your servers to routers to your virtual machines to storage devices and so much more. With WhatsUp Gold, the customizable drag and drop dashboards make it easy to see the detailed status and performance of every device, both on-premise and, as Philip was mentioning before, in the cloud. So we'll get to those dashboards in a minute. The key features, there are a number of key features that really make WhatsUp Gold stand out. And we win recognition annually due in part to this robust feature set. The list here covers the key features, including the depth of monitoring, the automated discovery process, interactive topology maps, and the REST API for connecting to other programs. So earlier this year, We released version 2022.0, which included several new features, specifically the integration with Flowmon. And that's really what we're here to talk about. Here you can begin to see how the two products come together inside WhatsUp Gold. Under the Analyze tab, once you've set up the connection, it's as simple as selecting the product and displaying a dashboard or drilling down into network events. But before we get too far along, it's important for WhatsUp Gold users specifically to know what Flowmon does and how the two products work in a complementary fashion. So Philip, can you help us to understand Flowmon at a high level?
Yes. Yeah, perfectly. So I really like this slide because it nicely captures the whole Flowmon solution and the architecture detail. So if we're going to take it from the top, first, what we need to have the fully functioning Flowmon solution is to have a source of the data. We can leverage it from the number of sources. We can leverage it from the cloud platforms. Actually, with the latest Flowmon 12 release, Flowmon right now is the only vendor on the market who can leverage native flow logs from AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, as well as when needed, we can deploy our own probes. On your on-premise infrastructure, we can leverage IPfix, SFlow, JFlow, and NetStream, any basically standard NetFlow format we can support. In our Progress portfolio, we also have a Loadmaster, Progress Camp Loadmaster load balancer, which is capable of IPfix export data as well. So we can get the source of the data from number of sources. When none of these options are available, we do have a dedicated sensor, which is called Flowmon probes. The added benefit that comes with the Flowmon probe is that we can enrich the flow data with the application information. So you can get the insight into the HTTP, the URL, the host name, and basically have even deeper level of visibility for even more effective troubleshooting. So once we have the source of the data, we then send it to the Flowmon collector. That is the appliance in the middle. And it can be hardware, it can be virtual, and basically it's a storage of the data that is able to visualize you the data that we collect. So the user interface, that would be the network visibility and troubleshooting pictured on the left side. And the user interface is called Flowmon Monitoring Center. So in here, you can basically see the traffic, who is talking to who is using most of the bandwidth, and do the detailed troubleshooting down to the detailed each flow level. So basically, that is the next level of visibility. And it doesn't stop there. That's a core product. So whenever you have the Flowmon collector, you have the built-in network visibility. And you can actually extend the Flowmon product portfolio by installing the different software modules. So these are these three on the bottom. So the first one, that would be the Flowmon Anomaly detection module, which provides the network detection and response. So as I mentioned, that is the network security. So because we have the eyes into the traffic, we see who is talking to who, we can run a number of different algorithms and detection methods to spot any abnormalities and detect threats like unknown threat detection, insider threats, spot any ransomware stages, and even analyze encrypted traffic. The other module, the Flowmon Packet Investigator, that basically allows you to do the on-demand full packet capture. So I would like to quote the Gartner, who states that for the 80% of network-related issues, NetFlow data provides deep enough visibility, which is what we provide with Flowmon Collector. And Gartner states that for the other 20%, you need to have the full packets. We like to take the best of both of these approaches. That's why we developed this module. And we like to say that with our application layer, application enriched data for NetFlow, you can solve up to 90-95% network related issues. And when needed, you can trigger the packet capture only when you require it. And you can actually connect it with the anomaly detection. So whenever there is a specific security threat detected, you can actually trigger the packet capture and have a PCAP file available for deeper forensic analysis. And the last module is the application performance monitoring module, the Flowmon APM, which basically allows you a network-centric view into the application. So, for example, the everlasting questions for any IT operator is, if there is a problem, is it a network? Is it a server? Or is it an application? So with the APM module, you can actually find out if the problem is in the application and where, and even if the application is in the database itself. So that would be the short intro into the product. The whole solution is available as a hardware appliance as well as in a virtual. We support all these platforms listed on the right side. And I would just like to point out the benefits. So for the Flowmon network performance monitoring and diagnostics, basically Flowmon provides the single source of truth for network operations and security operations to bring the teams together using one solution. For NetOps, they are mainly interested to have the eyes into the network traffic, see the performance degradation, monitor availability, usage, capacity, and basically reveal any bottlenecks and troubleshoot the issues. For the network operation sides, that is the automatic threat detection that doesn't rely on signatures, but leverages the machine learning approach to spot threats hidden in the network traffic. And you can even automate the threat detection with the response piece. So for example, if we detect any anomaly, for example, any station might be infected by a malware, we can instruct the firewall to put the station into the quarantine, for example, so it doesn't have a chance to basically make more harm. So that would be the Flowmon network detection and response piece. And Larry, you mentioned that we will get back to the dashboard in a minute. So I really like this picture because it nicely visualizes the integration between Flowmon and WhatsUp Gold. So to briefly summarize, WhatsUp Gold basically gives you the visibility into the infrastructure monitoring with which active devices are up or down. So that is represented on the bottom left side. So if we think of a hybrid infrastructure, we can see the number of devices that we can monitor. And on the right side, Flowmon comes in. We can then leverage the NetFlow data from the current infrastructure, routers, switches, cloud flow logs, or we can instruct firewalls to put any infected devices into the quarantine and provide the security monitoring like malware detection, anomaly detection, insider threat, ransomware, and many more, all through Flowmon solution. And that is all displayed within the dashboard that are visualized through the WhatsUp Gold user interface. So this would be the whole integration. Larry, why don't you sum up the benefits for us?
Thanks, Philip. So the benefits is, I think we've touched on these a number of times already, but it really is that the integration of these two products brings together comprehensive IT infrastructure monitoring, along with that network traffic visibility, AI-powered traffic analysis, and advanced security features. And these let you, they ensure that you have availability, performance, and security for your entire network through that single, simple, and intuitive WhatsUp Gold interface. The combination of the two delivers convenience, speed, and security. And we talked earlier on the very first slide, Philip, you were talking about how the challenges of the operations teams. And I think one of them that we didn't mention as much is that there is a silo between certain teams, or there can be. And when you have an integration like this, it means that your IT infrastructure, your NetOps, and your SecOps teams can cooperate to identify data leakage, outages, security breaches, or performance degradation. Because it's in one place and because they're able to communicate about it, they can make better decisions faster and in unison. So IT teams, they can view the network status, the advanced traffic analysis, and security data all in that one interface to speed diagnosis. And the holy grail here is to accelerate the mean time to repair. The next question people are thinking is, well, okay, how would I get to see this? Well, there's lots of different ways. I think the easiest way to do is we have trials that are available on the website. You can download and request and install. We also have online live demos that you can go through. The WhatsUp Gold online demo actually has the integration in it. So you can go in, you can locate a sample Flowmon instance, and then you can begin to play around with those dashboards and drill down in, and you can actually see the convenience of it and the kinds of depth of data that's available. And that's all out there on the website for free. So at this point, it is an Ask Me Anything webinar. I know that there's probably lots of questions and even some very technical questions. So we've brought on some technical specialists. And let's turn it over to the things that you specifically want to know.
Thanks, Larry. Just a reminder for everyone to please use the questions panel to submit questions for the Q&A. It looks like there are already some questions coming in. So Larry, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Rachel. First, of course, I'd like to introduce our product experts who are here today that joined us. We have Mark Singh, who's a senior solutions engineer, and Frank Cotto, a senior solutions architect. And I think the best thing about an AMA webinar like we have here is that this session is as valuable as you make it. So we already have a few questions. Please use the questions dialog box. Throw in some more. We've got plenty of time. Think of it almost like walking up to a trade show booth, and Frank and Mark are sitting there, and they're more than prepared to answer the technical questions as well as the higher level questions. So, that said, let's dig in. First question. Oh, this is a good one. I don't know which of you would like to answer it, but WUG and the WUG NTA module provides traffic analysis, and Flowmon also provides traffic analysis. So what's the difference between the two?
I can take that one, Larry. So that's a great question, right? So there is certainly a really small overlap as far as NTA functionality goes between Flowmon and WUG, and that's going to really be kind of based around both products having the ability to visualize and provide insights around flow, right? So from the WhatsUp Gold perspective, NTA, or Network Traffic Analyzer, provides very basic network traffic analysis. And so we're going to see things like data around top talkers, uses of certain protocols, things of that sort, the access to certain sites in the environment. However, it doesn't offer you the ability to drill down if troubleshooting or deeper visibility is required. And so in addition, it is dependent on flow generation from sources that in most cases is very highly sampled, right? So it'll give you that kind of high level overview of what's going on in the environment from a flow perspective. When you're leveraging Flowmon, being completely flow based, you're going to get the ability to have deep drill down capabilities, right? And so forensic level analysis into the enriched flow fields that are being generated by Flowmon Probe, such as HTTP URLs, DNS record types, SQL calls, and certainly a lot more. In addition, what you're going to get is network performance monitoring or metric calculation, so round trip times, server response times, jitter, and so on. But of course, as I mentioned about WhatsUp Gold, you have the ability with Flowmon, because you have the ability to generate flow, to not sample and provide much granularity, having one-for-one flow being stored on the collector. But that's a high level, more or less, the differences, right? So just kind of summarize that. WUG is your first step into network traffic analysis, into flow monitoring, whereas Flowmon is going to take it a leap further in providing the ability to drill down to do forensic level analysis and so on.
Great. KS actually sort of is building on what you were just talking about. He said, WUG NTA has certain performance limits of a couple of millions of flow per hour. Does Flowmon have higher limit and is able to scale up with multiple Flowmon?
Yeah, absolutely. So we certainly support that distributed architecture or scale out model. And because we are completely flow based, we are very scalable with that perspective. So there are certainly limitations by which we can process flows based on different models. And however, we do vary really widely, right? From the smallest of instances for your niche, maybe application focused use cases, to your largest of instances for your ISP level, telco, or enterprise level monitoring. But where a single instance is going to have limitations, scaling out those instances in a distributed architecture will circumvent those limitations.
Another one on, I think, Flowmon that's sort of similar. A couple of these questions are a little similar. Alan wanted to know, can Flowmon monitor user behavior analysis like suddenly increase in user violation traffic?
Yeah, so it's going to be dependent on the application by which the user is communicating with. So, for example, because we do deep packet inspection on some of the most used or widely used protocols, HTTP, SIP, DNS, DHCP, so on and so forth, we're able to monitor things that are specific to those applications, such as specific error codes, error responses that are coming from backend applications. Now, we are network focused and network centric in that we're not deploying any agents to monitor backend applications. We're monitoring these agents from the service perspective, or rather from the network perspective, as opposed to the service centric perspective. But we also do have the ability to ingest authentication logs from authentication servers via syslog, and then parse for log on and log off events. Now, what that gives us is the ability to associate user IDs to flows. And so we can filter on or create dashboards and widgets based on a user experience, user usage, as well as identify by application when certain applications are not responding. So I know that was a deep question that we can definitely dive into, but that was the high level 10,000 foot overview response, and I hope that was acceptable.
All right. Yeah, similar question. You knew it was going to come up, is about ransomware.
Sure.
So how does Flowmon detect ransomware? What kind of behavior exhibited by ransomware can Flowmon detect? So I think this kind of builds on what you were saying about looking at users and how granular it can be.
Yeah, so that's a phenomenal question. And I think the centric view that I want to wrap your head around is Flowmon is deployed at the network. So we're monitoring the network, which, you believe it or not, is something left in many cases unmonitored. When I say that, I say that to say a lot of customers we've seen deploy your perimeter security devices, your firewalls, your IDS, your IPS, your WAF, as well as your endpoint security, right? Your antivirus, anti-malware, but are not entirely focused as much as they should be from the network perspective. So leading to the answer here, right? Because we can be deployed inside of the network, we're monitoring and leveraging things like behavioral methods, heuristics, reputational databases, machine learning, adaptive baselining, because what we yearn to do, what we provide, is a product that's going to be able to identify ransomware attacks in their infancy. And that's certainly where you want to identify a ransomware attack right before it kind of grows into an actual threat. So, for example, we're going to be able to see the things like TCP scans, ARP scans, horizontal, vertical malware communications inside of the environment. We'll be able to see, based on adaptive baselining, when certain infected devices inside of the network are transferring data or communicating with resources in the network that they don't normally communicate with. Ideally, because we're going to be able to identify when data is transferring within the network between devices that are going to hold intellectual property and devices that don't normally access that intellectual property, or maybe don't access at the capacity by which it is now accessing it, right? So we use these kind of methods to be able to identify those attacks in their infancy so that we can provide, again, details so that these attacks can be thwarted before they metastasize, right? And of course, as you would imagine, if a ransomware attack is to be successful, we're going to map out all communications that those infected devices had kind of gained access to, so that you can do your analysis afterwards to ensure or to identify whether the ransom is worth paying, but also which endpoints or devices in the environment might require being quarantined or analyzed further.
Great. Mark, here's one for you. Is there any licensing? This comes from Jose. Is there any licensing requirement for WhatsUp Gold to integrate Flowmon?
No. Our version 22 of WhatsUp Gold, part of the standard product, is the ability to integrate with Flowmon, so no special licensing requirement. The one thing I would add is that in order to integrate with Flowmon, you will need a Flowmon device. So let me qualify that even further. That device would need to be discovered and monitored in WhatsUp Gold. So in terms of licensing, it costs 1 point, like all other devices that you're monitoring. But there's no special licensing requirement for the integration at all.
Yeah. Do you wanna talk to the integration itself a little bit? Like, how complicated is that?
Not complicated. in order to integrate with Flowmon, as I just mentioned, what we want to do first is discover the Flowmon devices, right? And we would use SNMP to do this, but there's a specific REST API credential, and our community, online community, has these instructions that you would create, and that is how WhatsUp Gold is able to integrate with Flowmon and receive data from Flowmon that we could see through the Flowmon dashboards. And again, and we could share that article as well with the audience.
Sure. Here's a new one that just popped up. Is it possible to set a SSL certificate in packet capture module to open an encrypted package for troubleshooting purposes?
So I think that's with reference to Flowmon Packet Investigator, right?
Yeah.
And our ability to
Yeah.
run automated packet captures. The answer is no. So we don't import any SSL or do any SSL decryption on the appliance, whether it be for monitoring purposes or Flowmon Packet Investigator. However, you do have the ability to, once Flowmon has triggered and stored a packet capture, to download that capture and go about your own process by which you can, via something like Wireshark, import the SSL certificate for monitoring and gain visibility. But we're not going to be doing that, decrypting your traffic or installing SSL certificates at the actual appliance. Great question.
Yeah. Is Flowmon also a syslog server?
Flowmon is not a syslog server. So we do not generate or store syslog servers. However, we do contribute to seeing solutions being deployed inside of our environment or a syslog server, so that we can actually offload syslog based on different event detection inside of an environment, as well as just the general state of the individual appliances in the Flowmon architecture. So we will contribute to syslog servers and seeing solutions inside of an environment by sending up events and syslog, so on and so forth.
Okay. Here's one, and I believe this is the APM module in Flowmon. The APM module is able to see transactions from which web servers and which databases.
So I don't have so this is the kind of important perspective too, right? I don't have a list of specificity. Apologize for the background noise there. I don't have a list of specificity around servers because it essentially doesn't matter. And the reason why it doesn't matter is we're completely agentless, right? So we're monitoring from the perspective of the network. And with APM, you're getting deep analytical details around HTTP and SIP. And from the perspective of APM, maybe I'm kind of circumventing myself as well, because I'm just remembering this. If it is SSL traffic, web service traffic, you do have the ability to import an SSL certificate for the perspective or of doing deep analysis on HTTP. But again, we're completely agentless. We're not installing anything on backend servers. And so compatibility with a specific server is a moot point, right? We are completely focused on the protocol.
Here's one from David. So let's talk a little bit about other tools. Customers running CM as Splunk. What are the benefits of Flowmon? So Flowmon versus if you were using Splunk.
Yeah, so it's going to be enrichment, right? In that we're going to be able to send things like, CF log formatted events to Splunk for monitoring, for ensuring that you have all of those details available on that single platform, as well as from a syslog perspective, we're going to be sending syslog messages to Splunk. So, it's not that we're certainly not replacing a solution like that, obviously not being a log management tool. But we complement the overall infrastructure in that you're going to have network visibility-based syslogs and event generation that will now be able to be stored on Splunk and sent to Splunk for analysis.
Okay. Okay. KS wants to know, how can Flowmon inspect the error in the application, as most application traffics are SSL encrypted? Do we need to import the private key for it to decrypt the traffic?
So if you're leveraging application performance monitor, right, which is our APM module that we discussed, you can certainly import the SSL certificate in specific formats for decryption of traffic where it pertains. So for example, for HTTP diagnostics around what's happening with your application, so that we can gain that deep visibility, you can certainly do that. From the network monitoring and performance perspective, or even from anomaly detection system, because we do deep packet inspection on SSL and TLS without the need for decryption, you gain the kind of visibility that we can provide around forensic level analysis, usage, network performance, things of this sort, without having to do any SSL decryption. So it depends on the use case and how you tend to use the product. But from the APM perspective, absolutely, you can import the SSL certificate.
Okay. Oh, here's an interesting one, Mark, from Blake. What's a WUG use case where Flowmon would not apply?
Where Flowmon would not apply.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what we discussed earlier with WhatsUp Gold. So WhatsUp Gold gives you your network monitoring insight into performance, availability of your devices, and it does come with its own, NTA module, where you could get more of a top level view of, what type of traffic, websites people are going to, and so on, right? So if that is all you need, then there's no need for Flowmon. But if we need to go deeper, as Frank was describing, and some of the things that we could do in terms of the differences, then, that's obviously a use case for Flowmon.
Yeah, Larry, can I actually add to that? So I think that's phenomenal, right? And I think the real construct is understanding where WUG serves a major purpose and then where Flowmon does, right? So what WUG is providing for you is that infrastructure monitoring, right? And that's a very high level comment, right? But what Flowmon is doing is giving you your network, your application, your security monitoring. So when leveraging the products together, right, you get that endpoint visibility-based infrastructure monitoring, right, so that you can correlate things like resource usage, whether or not a specific device is up or down, of course, but details around disk usage and so on and so forth, because of WUG's vast abilities to kind of monitor those endpoints. And then what you have the ability to do from the Flowmon perspective is view those occasions or those instances or these individual issues from the perspective of the network on what was happening and what is going on, right? So it's almost a direct correlation where whether you're looking at something from the perspective of the network, you can actually correlate to the perspective of the actual endpoint devices involved in the communications, whether or not issues there correlate to the traffic on the environment, and conduct your root cause analysis that way.
Yeah, it really allows you to drill into both.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Related to that, and I don't think we will be able to do this here, but David wanted to know, can you show us a demo of WUG versus Flowmon? That's something you guys could do off at a different time for anyone.
Yeah, reach out to us. We're happy to do that. We can collab and do a bit of a demo and show you with specificity where you would want one over the other and vice versa. And it'll probably be more so a how you benefit from using both conversation for sure. Right. But we can definitely show you that granularity.
How's the Flowmon solution priced and licensed? Is it subscription?
It's a great question, Larry. So from a hardware perspective, we can license perpetually, right, with reoccurring annual costs for support. And then from a software perspective, or our virtual models or cloud instances can be licensed perpetually or by subscription. And so you have those kind of those options in deployment.
Okay. Let's see. What is another question we have here? How about another question from David? Pretty specific one. Can we get a backup script for Flowmon and Load Balancer to back up with WUG Configuration Manager?
That's interesting. I don't see why not. I'll say that, right? So considering I guess, Mark, can you speak to a little bit about the flexibility in Configuration Manager and how that would kind of work out?
Yeah, so WhatsUp Gold Config Management uses either SSH or Telnet to connect to your devices, mainly network devices, for backing up their configurations, right? So if there's SSH capability, really, that will allow connections to grab any config or backups, we'll certainly be able to do that.
Follow-up question on that. Can you add scripts in WhatsUp Gold?
Well, yeah, you could always add scripts in WhatsUp Gold. Be a matter of finding those scripts, importing them, and so on. But yeah, definitely. WhatsUp Gold comes with a nice library of scripts already pre-built, but you could definitely add more or import more scripts into it. And I'm speaking specifically to config management.
Yeah. David also says Flowmon scripts with a couple exclamation points there. So,
So
I think
Flowmon does have a fully extensive API. So if what you're referring to is configuring the product with scripts, you absolutely can from start to finish. We actually published a few scripts that are available on our support site that you can download in order to, say, from the perspective of our Loadmaster product, our application delivery controller, or our ECS connection manager product, which is a storage-based load balancer. You can actually configure Flowmon to develop dashboards and widgets based on the applications that those two appliances are proxying. So absolutely, and to the extent that we're actually providing scripts to our customers.
Yeah. John asks, can the packet capture, and Philip talked a bit about the packet capture piece, be connected to the anomaly detection?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a phenomenal question, right? So the whole approach to automating Flowmon Packet Investigator and packet capturing, right, is not only tied to the ability to do something like that based on a dynamic issue that you're troubleshooting, right? Client A speaks to server B, run a capture within this time window, but also from anomaly detection system, we can say, for example, hey, if you see a specific anomaly in the environment, right? For example, ICMP with large payload, right? We all know there should never be payload in ICMP in a production environment unless there's doing some testing. We can tell the appliance to say, hey, if you see this, run a packet capture, because we want to know specifically what's being exfiltrated from the environment, right? And a packet capture is obviously going to give you that file name and as well as file contents visibility. So yes, absolutely, we can trigger packet captures to occur from a troubleshooting perspective as around certain environmental characteristics, or based on what anomaly detection system identifies in the environment. For any event, any anomaly, you can trigger a packet capture and analyze it.
Yeah. Here's one. How can I use Flowmon if my infrastructure doesn't allow IPfix export?
That's a great question. So the answer there is going to be leveraging our Flowmon probe. So our probe is the most powerful net flow generator on the market today. And what we have the ability to do is tap your environment or connect to your environment, whether it be via physical monitoring port, inline taps, span ports, from in a virtual environment, leveraging the native packet mirroring features and functionality, as well as in a cloud environment. We'll ingest all that raw traffic and we'll actually generate and enrich that flow. So we'll do DPAC inspection, HTTP, SIP, DNS, SQL, so on and so forth, DHCP. And then what we'll do is we'll actually generate IPfix format flow with custom fields that we've added to the flow for enrichment and troubleshooting. So the approach we want to take is leveraging our probe if you don't have the ability to generate IPfix inside of your environment. And even if you do, really.
Let's see. I think it's Vinicius asks, and I apologize if I got that wrong. Does Flowmon identify IoT and OT protocols? Is it possible to classify traffic manually like NTA?
The first part of your question is absolutely. Yeah, there's a few IoT protocols that we support. We could provide some more details around that, Goose being one of them, for example. I'm not so sure I understand the second part of the question, Larry. Can you reread that, the second part?
Is it possible to classify traffic manually like NTA?
So
Are you talking
in NTA, let me describe what he's saying in NTA. So in NTA, there, you might see IP addresses and stuff, and it's listed as unclassified, and that could be private enterprises. I had an example in my own cases where traffic from an internal lab was marked as unclassified. So what you do there, so just so you know what you're looking at when looking at the reports is you could classify that. So in my case, this is progress traffic. So that's what they're.
Absolutely. And yeah, so then you can rename specific hosts, specific IPs to be whatever you want them to appear on as far as reporting, as well as in the dashboards. And then you can also classify communications based on developing a profile for that traffic with individual channels that will kind of outline specifically what you're looking at. If it's a specific application segment, a specific subset of the environment, or communication, you can absolutely do that. Yeah. Thank you for that clarification, Mark.
Yep.
Well, I think, here we go. Another quick one. Is Flowmon able to run WhatsUp Gold actions? I don't think so. Mark?
It's the other way around. WhatsUp Gold
Yeah.
can run actions based upon Flowmon data that we're receiving, right? So I don't know. Flowmon, I'm sure, probably has its own alerting mechanism, but WhatsUp Gold will only use data that it's receiving from Flowmon to generate alerts.
Right, and that's the whole dashboard piece.
Right. So any dashboard data in WhatsUp Gold can be associated with an alert.
Great. And where remind me what the different forms of alerts are for maybe people that are Flowmon but don't know what's
So
Gold.
for this specific integration, it will be email and SMS. And then there's some, monitoring the Flowmon devices itself. You have more than, email, Microsoft Teams, Slack, etc. You could even do scripting type alerts. So actions, we call it self-healing actions as well. But that's more from the monitoring of the Flowmon devices than specifically, not specific to the actual, data that we're receiving. Those are email and SMS in the current version.
Here's a question, slightly off topic, but David actually mentions Loadmaster, and he says, do Flowmon and Loadmaster? I guess do we offer them as SaaS, as a service?
We do not today offer Flowmon or Loadmaster as a service.
Yeah.
I mean, we can. So Loadmaster does have some metered-based licensing that'll enable you to deploy the solution and offer it as a service, where that you can deploy as many per application load balancers as you'd like. But Flowmon, and as well as, I guess we have MSP licensing for Flowmon as well, where you can offer them as well. But as far as a managed by progress, we do not offer that today.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and a similar question. David's asking about Loadmaster. I'm not sure if he means WhatsUp Gold, but he says, "Can I download Flowmon and Loadmaster from AWS and Azure Marketplace? Are they available there?"
Yes, absolutely. Flowmon and Loadmaster are both available in AWS and Azure Marketplace, as well as you can deploy Flowmon in GCP as well, Google Cloud Platform.
And what about WhatsUp Gold?
To my knowledge, no.
No. Okay. But the traditional Kemp products of Flowmon and Loadmaster are definitely there. Sure. All right. I'm not seeing any new questions. If anyone, definitely, if now's a great time if it's something you've been listening to and did make sense, want a little more detail, or if there's something maybe we could cover a little bit more. Oh, here we go. Do you have a couple questions. First of all, do you have a demo site for Flowmon? Yes, we do. We actually, I mentioned that a little bit earlier. It really is. Help me out, guys. It's flowmon.com.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll actually on our website, if you jump on our site, we have a form that you can kind of fill out to gain access to our demo site. It is publicly accessible. We will give you credentials for that site, as well as we may or may not be including a link in this presentation. I think we can go back and do that later. So that'd be a great thing to do, so that you can get right to that form, fill out the information it requires, and then we'll give you access to that demo environment. But we certainly do have a publicly accessible demo environment for Flowmon.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, we have that on WhatsUpGold.com. We have that live demo as well, and you can actually experiment with the dashboard to Flowmon. So that's there as well if you want to see that integration specifically. Oh, Mark, what would be the next integrations with WUG? Maybe a little product plug.
The next integration with WUG, I don't know. I think we're probably going to go deeper into what's available via Loadmaster. So the first phase of our integration with Flowmon devices was, with CAM device, applications, was Flowmon, but part of that discovery we added Loadmaster as well. So it was a safe assumption there that we're going to go deeper into what's available, what data is available through Loadmaster, so that you can see them in the WhatsUp Gold monitoring reports.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit about the REST API, maybe something there you want to comment on?
Only that it is how we, just like with all other applications, the way we connect and extract data or pull data from other applications is through REST API. So we created an article on how to do that specifically with Flowmon, how you discover those devices and pull that data through a REST API.
Yeah. All right, we're at 50 minutes, and I think I've seen the flow peter out, and now it's stopping. I just want to thank you both. This was great. A lot of really interesting questions, and I certainly learned something along the way. So, Frank, thank you. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to Philip, who helped us out earlier. And with that, I just want to thank everyone who attended. Really appreciate your time. If you continue to have questions, reach out to us. Whether it's for a demo or whether it's very specific product questions or licensing or pricing, we're here. We're glad to do that. So thank you very much and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.